Hello, Lockdown Diaries day 53, just back in the speed shop where we were here yesterday, just doing a bit of OSB board cladding, just to smarten it up a bit and just, I guess, make it feel a bit warmer. Even if it obviously won't lift the temperature, it might just make it feel a bit warmer. So we're just working through it now, just cladding a bit of it out, just to smarten it up, really, ready for spring opening. Beginning of April, that's when I anticipate having people back in here. So we've got some pallets to do some bits and bobs with, and I've got a new workbench over there, got the Christmas tree down. And just for today's video, I just wanted to quickly look at a product that I'm fitting to the Himalayan. It's a product that the manufacturer, which is Pyramid Plastics, which are a UK company, they got in touch with Motorcycle Sport and Leisure magazine here in the UK, which I do some writing for. And they said, do you know anyone who wants to test a new Pyramid Plastics rear hugger? So I said, yep, I'll do it. So they sent me one of these. So I've not paid for it. So take everything I say with a pinch of salt, I guess. And basically it's just I guess it's a plastic rear fender. 50 quid from them. And it just involves taking out the rear wheel, which is nice and easy on the Himalayan. And then just scotching it up against that. Up against the swing arm, and then a tie wrap to hold it in place. So actually a really easy install. So I'm just going to pop that on there, and the idea is that it will stop the mud getting flung up at the rear shock, which does get covered in mud, to be honest. Another solution is an R&G rear shock sock, like a neoprene wraparound Velcro thing that you put around the shock, which this bike had on it, and somebody else put it out on the forum. They do work, but the problem is that essentially your rear shock is just sitting in a very damp, wet sock. And so it would be very easy for corrosion to set in, and also it's hiding a component that you might want to keep a visual check on every now and again. So in a way, I think this could be a better solution if it just keeps the mud off that rear shock and keeps the back of the bike tidy. So it's an easy fit, 50 quid. The Himalayan, I've got to be honest, looking at the owners forum and being a follower of the forums, it is a bike that people like to modify and bolt stuff on. I suppose it's because it comes in at a cheap price to begin with. It leaves a bit of money for bolt-ons. So even this one, this bike that I bought, which was, it's done 3,000 miles when I got it, it got the Tutoro drip-fed chain oiler. So the the Scott oiler, which you have to cut and splice into the air line, the pressure line, whereas this one it's just gravity fed, which to me is a better solution because you haven't got to cut anything on the bike. So you just set that up. So that's a nice little feature. The guy before had also put the Cooper sunk guard on this one. He'd done a few other bits that such as a headlight grille, just to stop stones smashing that. But the master cylinder rear brake master cylinder guard on. He'd also got some Krieger luggage, which I have since took off and sold. And he'd also put this modified, which I think is a Hitchcock's rear rack and plate on that, because the standard rear rack is prone to snapping just here when you put too much weight on it. So a common mod is to either reinforce or buy one of these accessory plates just to strengthen it up. And it also put some handguards on. These are the sort of the plastic ones that are about 35 quid, which are okay, but I have broke a few levers in the past because they will bend in and then literally snap the end of the lever off anyway. So they do save the bulk of the lever, but not all of it. He'd also got had some bar risers on this one, which I took out because to me it takes the weight off the front when you're standing, which is not necessarily what you want, because without the weight over the front, I think you lose a bit of feel and a bit of grip. So they came off. So that's it really for this one. I think people sometimes might say, well, that's a lot of money, 50 quid for a bit of moulded plastic. But as anybody who's run a business will know, that there are so many costs that eat into your profit, whether it's a development cost, postage cost, packaging costs, fees on credit card transactions, all those things, they soon eat into your bottom line. So if you're complaining about the cost of accessories, try making some yourself and selling them and see what you come up with, because yeah, it can be very expensive just doing the basic admins of business. It's also an interesting one with the Himalayan. People say it's overpriced in regard to the Indian, how much they charge in India, because about 2.5 in India, and sort of 4.5 here. So they wonder where the I guess where the markup is. They think the dealers are being greedy, but from everything I gather, by the time the importers took their cut, the dealers took their cut, and it's been shipped over and registered and VAT paid on it and everything, there's not much margin in it for anyone. So I still think the Himalayan is going up in price to 4.7 next year on the road, or 4.6, which is pushing it close to the CRF 300, which is a gamble. And if it had come out at 4.6, I think it would have struggled. But now it's built up a reputation. It still does feel good value, and it hopefully, by this generation, they've improved all the little niggles and bits and little faults on the original, such as the head bearings going notchy. I don't think they'll have fixed the misted clocks, because that seems almost impossible to solve unless you drill a hole in the bottom. But it's going to come with a little tripper sort of sat-nav unit built in and things like that. So I think the 2001 model is going to be nice. They've just redesigned this as well. So mainly cosmetic. I don't think it'll be any different to ride at all. I think it'll be our push to tell the new one from the old one, and if nothing else, it's going to keep values of the old one strong by the price going up. So that's it. I'm going to slap that on with the tie wrap. I'm going to put the back wheel in, then I'm going to park this one up. I do have a problem with the battery draining on this. It does seem a common Himalayan problem. Batteries do go flat if left unattended for a week or even a few days with some people, so it does involve a new battery. But I'm going to do a video on servicing the Himalayan sometime further down the line. But what I really do like about the Himalayan is its simplicity. I'll show you how easy it is to get to the valves, for example, to do the valve check. It's 2 bolts on the tank, disconnect a couple of cables, tank's off, and there you go. There's your valve, inlet and outlet valve, no bother. Airbox is just behind here, 3 screws, one's a dummy. I think that one's a dummy. So 1, 2, 3, pull that off, 3 crosshead screws behind that, and out comes your airbox, so that's easy to do. And what I also like, small things. So the axle bolts, front and rear, take exactly the same size nut, and it comes in the toolbox. So you get that in the toolkit, and the rear bolt is the same as the front bolt, which just means all you need to take your 2 wheels out, front and rear, is that. And I know that sounds a simple joy, but when you start looking at the other bikes on the fleet, you know, most of the bikes don't come with a tool to get the wheels out or undo the axle bolts. And when you do get the right tool, it's a different size front and rear bolt, which just means if you're travelling, you're going to have to carry 2 different sockets. Whereas on the Himalayan, you carry that and you can get both wheels out. So people say, why Himalayan? You know, and I think to me, it's simple things like that. The basic fundamentals of keeping a bike going that they either thought of consciously or sort of came, well, you know, maybe they came to that decision because it was cheaper to only buy one size bolt and fit it front and rear. Maybe it's by accident that actually it works out really nicely. Yeah, maybe it wasn't by design but by accident. But for me, travelling on a Himalayan, it's things like that that actually make it really usable. Same with getting to the valves and things. So that's it, day 53. Over and out. Bye.